Before you start watching, please help the channel thrive. Give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment if you relate to anything or want to dive into some topics together.
Go on this date with me. You won't give up, will you? I groaned in frustration. I won't give up until you say yes. Even if it takes you 50 years. I sighed and tugged my hair, obviously annoyed. Fine, just one date. Just one, Howard. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 11, he said with an excited tone. I could just picture him with a massive grin on his face right now while he fist-pumped the air and danced around like a fool, much like he does to cheer the twins up. A few days ago, he was dancing a funny dance, which sent the twins doubling over in laughter. A faint smile appeared on my lips as I remembered him dancing around like a fool. And let me tell you, he was possibly the worst dancer I had ever seen. After dropping off the twins at my mom and dad's house, I came back home, slightly anxious about the date with Howard. Mum and dad loved the twins, so they were more than happy to look after them while I was away. I wasn't too sure about leaving Terence and Samantha with them at first. Instead, I had called them to ask if they knew of any babysitters. However, they reassured me that they would be fine, and Chris would be able to take care of the twins and Mom. The twins weren't troublemakers anyways, so I knew they would be fine. Besides, I think they deserved a little time with their grandparents, especially because they hadn't seen them for a couple of days now. I know people would think that I was stupid for leaving the twins with my dad, who had previously abused me so many times. But after spending time with him, I could see that he had changed and he had gotten his act together. He was like the person I used to know and love again. Randy had to attend an important business meeting about 6 hours drive away from here, so he left yesterday and was coming back in 2 days, so he couldn't look after the twins for me. But I was sure the twins would have fun with Mum and Chris anyways. Changing into a comfortable and casual yet slightly formal outfit. A pair of shorts, a blouse, and a pair of heeled ankle boots. The bell rang as soon as I finished. I don't know how I made it just on time, but I did. I opened the door, slightly nervous but with a glare. Don't you dare pull an act like that ever again, or God help you. He simply grinned at me, ignoring my threat. You look beautiful. He placed a small kiss on my cheek before handing me a single white rose. He looked amazing as well, but I wasn't about to mention that. He was definitely the hottest guy I had ever laid eyes on, and he looked even better right now with his light chinos and plain blue polo shirt, which brought out his eyes. Shall we get going then? I want this to finish as soon as possible. He simply chuckled, looking at me with amusement in his eyes. It seemed like today, whatever I said wouldn't change his ecstatic mood. He would still look at me with that massive grin. All because I had agreed to go on a date with him. So far, the date had gone surprisingly well, and I found myself enjoying myself. Shocker, right? He had taken me on a totally cheesy and romantic date. He had driven for more than an hour to the beach, where he had set up a picnic on the cliff which overlooked the beach. As cheesy and as cliched as it was, I found it quite cute and sweet. In the car, we had talked about everything from our favourite types of music and to our favourite colours. Howard was trying to be funny, cracking a stupid joke here and there nevertheless. It made me laugh, and I was quite shocked with. We arrived at the beach, because I had expected somewhere not so romantic. But it turns out that Howard was quite the romantic at heart. He seemed really curious to want to hear about my life as well, and how different it was, or how hard it was being in the eyes of the media all the time. And I would answer to his questions as honestly as I could. As we sat silently eating food he had brought, he asked a question which surprised me slightly, because not many people were interested in it anyways, so they hardly asked about it. But Howard did. How were you found? I got a job in a cafe when I was pregnant, because I didn't want to be dependent on the pack when Randy, he growled at his name, found me. Honestly, I'm so grateful that Max, that's Randy's dad, signed me. He's a record producer and an amazing father figure. Him and Randy had always been there for me and the twins, and they would look after them when I was exhausted from recording or preparing for the concerts. Whenever I needed them, they were always there for me. He went completely silent, thinking very hard about something. Can I ask you a question? You just did, I joked. He chuckled, but nonetheless asked the question, "Who is Randy to you?" And just like that, my mood turned bitter again. "That is none of your concern." His tone turned a little harsher as well. "It is because you're my mate, and whatever you do is my business." I glared at him. "I wasn't your mate when you left me by myself, making me feel like one of your used dirty whores. Then was I 4-5? His gaze softened, and he looked at me with regret and guilt. I was scared. You were my mate, and I didn't want a mate at the time, and my lust took over. And then I finally realised how much I loved you after, and I was scared of my feelings for you." "Yeah, well now I hope you know how much your cowardliness cost you," I snorted. "I do. I know how much it cost me. It cost me you and 4, nearly 5, years of our children's lives." "I thought about you every day," he admitted. "Yeah, I'm sure you were thinking about me when you mated Eva, huh? Or maybe you thought about me when you fucked those countless other girls," I said sarcastically. "Yes, I did. I was drunk off my ass when I mated Eva, and I couldn't just walk away from her after I mated her. There was a connection between me and her. Every time I was with one of those girls, I pictured you. Every single fucking time. You couldn't just walk away from her. Yet you could walk away from me. Your own mate. You really are a bastard, you know that? I know I am. I know. And that's why I've paid for it every single day of the last 5 years. I know you wouldn't believe me if I told you I love you, but I do. And it hurts me, seeing you happy with another guy," he said, as a single tear leaked out of his eyes. "Yeah, and now you only want me because I'm not weak anymore, or maybe because so many people out there want me, or maybe because I'm not ugly anymore, or maybe because I'm rich and famous and people love me. You don't want me for me. You want someone who you won't be embarrassed to be seen with. I love you so freaking much. Caroline Alicia Forrest. I have tried searching for you everywhere, and every time I got a phone call saying that they found a dead body looking like you lying around, I felt my heart stop all over again. Every single time they said they found someone looking like you in a river or a ditch, I felt like I was dying. I did everything I could to find you. Caroline, everything. I regret walking away from you every single day of my life. I don't believe you. I don't believe a single word that you say, because if you were really missing me that much, would you be making babies with Eva? No, you wouldn't be. I was under pressure to have an heir for the title of the alpha of the pack by my father. I loved you since the moment I saw you, Caroline. I love you more than anything now, and I will love you until my last breath." I was speechless. Honestly, I was. "I don't believe you," I choked out. All of a sudden, he grabbed my hand and pushed in his car. Without another word, he drove as quickly as he could. "Howard, what are you doing? Where are we going, Howard? What's going on? Answer me." All my questions fell on deaf ears. Finally, he pulled up at the pack house. Ignoring the confused and awestruck stares and whispers of the pack members, he dragged me to the attic, which, if I remember correctly, has always been out of bounds to everyone in the pack, apart from Howard himself. Not even Chris, who is the beta, was allowed to go in there. "What are we doing here?" I asked, looking at him with a confused expression. "You didn't believe how much I truly love you, and how much I regret doing everything I did wrong to you. So here. I'm finally going to prove it to you," he stated, not looking at me. He pulled out a set of keys and opened the door to the attic. I gasped as soon as I stepped over the threshold of the room. Paintings of me adorned the walls, and there were a lot more on the floor. Large canvas of me, laughing and extremely happy, was hooked on the walls. There were amazing paintings. I didn't know Howard liked painting. I guess now I know where Samantha gets her love of painting from. I went around, looking at the different painting, taking in every detail and brushing my hands against it. Noticing a large canvas on the floor, I walked over to it. It wasn't fully painted, but I could tell it was going to be amazing, just like all the other ones. It was of the twins in the middle, looking extremely happy with 2 outlines beside them. I guess that was him and I standing by them. I don't think I had ever in my entire being looked as beautiful as what he painted me out to be. He made me look like an angel. Another thing I noticed was that in the corner of every painting, there was, "I love you." Caroline, written in beautiful, elegant handwriting. As I stood there thinking about what my life could be like with Howard in it, I felt hands wrap around me, sending those familiar tingles. I tried to step away from him, however. He kept his grip tight, but not so tight that it would hurt me. "Just let me hold you for a minute." "Deeples Fies?" he asked, with such sadness in his voice that I couldn't refuse. I shakily nodded, knowing that I'd probably regret it later on. "Is this enough proof for you? Is this enough to make you believe how much I love you?" he whispered, kissing along my jaw. I didn't say anything, mainly because I was in huge shock. I didn't actually believe he loved me as much as he claimed he did. But he did love me. He did love me. After a few moments of silence of him nuzzling his nose and neck, I finally said, "You know, I'm not as beautiful as you make me out to be in those paintings. You make me look like an angel. No, you're even more beautiful. And nothing, not my paintings or any photograph, could ever capture your beauty. You're the most beautiful thing I have ever seen, and I will ever see, Caroline. And you are an angel. You're my angel," he said softly, placing a feather-like kiss on my neck 265. Once again, I was speechless. I always loved him, even after what he did to me. But I just refused to show him that part of me. I only showed him the bitter side of me, which hated him. However, that didn't mean that I didn't love him. He was my mate, of course, I loved him. But now, I could feel that love trying to fight its way up from the pits of my heart, where I had buried it deep down years ago. But I didn't want him to leave me, and I didn't know if I could trust him fully with all my heart yet. He couldn't snap my heart again, and I wasn't about to give him full reins to be able to do that. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it again, because I didn't know if I would ever be able to pick myself up if he did hurt me ever again. So, too scared to be hurt again, I ran away from him once again in tears. Chapter 24. Tears. I hated these things. Yet right now, they seemed to never stop pouring out of my eyes as Chris held me tightly against his chest. My head was aching for crying for his long, and my whole face felt wet. But that wouldn't explain the horrible, gut-wrenching feeling I had in my stomach, while my heart was aching more than anything. I could tell Chris was feeling the same way as well, because I felt warm teardrops slide down from her face and onto my forehead. I didn't care right now that I looked like a mess. I was sure my makeup was painted all over my face messily like a toddler's portrait, while my clothes and hair was completely disheveled. But once again, I couldn't seem to care. You may be wondering right now why I'm crying so much and why I'm in this much pain. Well, this is what happened mere hours ago. What's wrong, Mum? I came here as soon as I could. I panted as I entered the room, holding hands with the twins. Dad took the twins and felt the room with a heartbroken look on his face. He seemed quiet, and he barely even greeted me when he opened the door to let me in. She looked paler than normal, if that was even possible, and I could see that glow on her face fading. The brightness of her skin now held a blue tinge. W, wait till R, Chris gets hay here, I want to talk to Y, U, B, be both together, she whispered, her voice fading at the end. Her voice was croaky, and she could barely speak. I had noticed that she was getting worse over the weeks, but now she seemed to be even worse. She had never been as bad as this. Recently, she had even had to get an IV machine as well as other machines hooked onto her and currently reading her heartbeat. It was a lot lower than what it should have been for someone like her. I was worried about her, very worried. As we waited for Chris, I told her about my date with Howard, which happened about 2 days ago, and everything else. I told her about my confused emotions and feelings about him, while she would just smile at me in a knowing way. When I finally ended, she simply whispered a short answer of 3 words: "Follow your heart." Just as I was about to say something, the door flew open and in ran Chris, looking like a mad person searching the room frantically. What happened? I could hear as soon as I could, but Howard and I were away on pack business over the next town, he rambled. After he calmed down, he then seemed to notice me, Caroline. Well, obviously, I couldn't help myself from nearly snapping. It was then I could my time to finally study his appearance. To put it simply, he looked like a mess. He looked scruffy, and like a hobo basically. His hair was longer and slightly greasy, and he looked like he was growing a beard with the thick dark hair growing on his cheeks and chin. His clothes were messy and crumpled, and he seemed to have lost weight, judging by the hollowness of his cheeks. "Mom, why did you call me here?" he asked properly now. Tears filled Mom's eyes, and she bit her lip hard from sobbing. I know it's my time to go now, I just know it." "No, Mom." "Don't say that," Chris said. "No, Chris, let me finish. I know I haven't been the best mum around, but there's one thing that I wish for before I die, and please just let me finish. I want you, Caro, to forgive Chris, and I know there's a lot we've done wrong by you, but please forgive him." A tear slipped out of her eyes as she finished, while mine cascaded down my cheeks like a waterfall. "No, Mom, you'll be here and you'll stay with me until we're both grey and wrinkle," I cried onto her shoulder, gripping her hard. I can't do it anymore. Its heart hurts, and there's just one thing I want to see before I die, and if that happens, I go a happy Peter person. I forgive him, Mom, I forgive him, just please stay with us." Tears continued spilling out of my eyes. "He's the only brother you have, Caro, and you don't know how much he regrets treating you the way he did. Every time he come I hear he cries about how he hates himself for treating you this badly." She stuttered, making me cry even harder. "I know, Mum, I forgive him with my heart," I sobbed. "Gee, good, because I want all of you together to look after each other, like a proper family should after I'm gone." "No, Mum, you're going to be perfectly fine, and you're going to be playing hide and seek with the twins. I can't lose you when I just got you back." I shouted a little angrily. "I may not be here, honey bee, but my memories will, and I will always watch you from up there." She pointed up the sky weakly for a couple of seconds before resting her hands back on her bed again. For the rest of the night, Chris, Mom, the twins, and I spent the time like any other family would. We had a family games night where I totally whooped Chris's ass at snakes and ladders, and we ended up on the floor wrestling each other. It felt amazing having proper family time with my family after years. More than a decade, in fact. I realised then how much I missed out on without a proper family, and yet I still had the chance now. I had forgiven Chris after he told how sorry he was, and how he regretted every single thing he had done to me, and me, not being able to say no to him. I finally accepted his apology and forgave him, because what's the point of holding grudges? It was better for me if I just forgave him and carried on with my life. But with new additions to my family. Everyone decided to camp in Mom's bedroom, so Chris and I were sleeping in sleeping bags on the floor, while the twins and Mom were sleeping on the bed. This night had been one of the best nights of my life, and honestly, I loved it. I laughed to the brink of crying, where I just sat there clapping my hands like a retarded seal. And to make it even worse, Chris, that little doof, even though I'm younger and smaller than him, recorded it and posted it on YouTube. But I did get nice comments where people were saying how fun my family look, or how great family is. And within an hour, I had more than 1 million views already. We were all so happy, including Mum, until we heard that continuous beep, which woke us up from our sleep, being werewolves and everything. I got to Mum as quickly as I could, and I could feel a massive part of my heart being broken as I saw that straight line running in the ECG machine. I could tell Chris was in tears. The twins looked heartbroken, however. They didn't quite understand what was going on. What I did notice, though, was that faint smile on Mum's lips as her eyes remained shut tightly. The pack had been informed and everyone was here comforting us. Maybe pack members were shocked to see that I was back. However, they didn't say anything but simply offered me a few kind words. I was happily surprised that they were being kind to me and not sending me dirty looks because I had ran away from the pack years ago. What really made me smile, though, was when a teenage boy fainted when he saw me. Apparently he was a huge fan, so he was extremely shocked to see me. The pack were even more surprised, though, when they found out I had kids who were nearly 5 years old, let alone twins. But the twins had warmed to everyone pretty quickly and were even playing with a few kids around their age or a little older in the back garden. The funeral was tomorrow. since most wolves were buried the next day after their death. I still couldn't believe that she wasn't here anymore. It was so hard to, because only a few hours ago we were playing board games and she was teasing Chris for getting his ass whooped by me. She seemed so happy, and yet now she wasn't even here with us anymore. A few tears dropped from my eyes, and I was surprised that tears were still able to come out from my eyes, since I had been crying for hours straight. My head felt like someone was pounding on it with a hammer, while my nose was runny. My throat felt dry, and I'm sure the makeup I had put on an hour ago was all over my face. Chris was still hugging me as tightly as he could, but I could tell he was silently sobbing as well. Well, why wouldn't he? After all, he had just lost his mother. Oh, Mummy, where are you? Please come back. I was up bright and early this morning, not because I was happy or excited, but because I couldn't sleep at all. My eyes were red and swollen and puffy, and I looked like a wreck right now. But I couldn't care less. Right now, I was sat in the church while our priest gave his speech about Mom. I was biting my lip hard enough to draw blood, so that I wouldn't start sobbing in front of everyone loudly. Chris was silently watching with nothing but sadness in his eyes. I chose not to give a speech, because I knew I would start crying and wouldn't be able to finish the speech. I would be too emotional, and this day wasn't about how sad I was. It was to cherish the days Mum had spent with us. After the ceremony and burial had finished, I stayed back next to the headstone of Mom. On it read a beautiful message. If roses grow in heaven, Lord, please pick a bunch for me. Place them in my mother's arms and tell her they're from me. Tell her I love her and miss her. And when she turns to smile, place a kiss upon her cheek and hold her for a while. Both Chris and I had written it together, so it was very personal and meaningful to our hearts, and Mum's as well if she could see it. Hey Mum, I know you've only been gone for a few hours, but I miss you already, and I regret not spending every day of the last 4 years with you. I love you, Mum. I love you a lot, and kills me that you're not here with me today. I know I must be looking like an idiot talking to the air, but I hope you can hear me and know that I love you more than anything, I whispered as a few tears dropped onto my lap. I was startled when I felt arms wrap themselves around me. The familiar sparks started flying and I felt warm and at home in the person's embrace. Sorry I wasn't here with you, baby, Howard whispered, placing a kiss on my cheeks from behind me. I turned around and hugged him tightly, crying my eyes out into his warm chest while he rubbed my back and whispered soothing words to me. And just like that, he made me feel so much better. Chapter 25. Chris's POV. I was sitting in my bedroom in the dark, doing nothing but crying as memories of my mom flashed through my head, making even more tears slip out my eyes. I knew wallowing in self-pity wouldn't do much, however, it was all I could do. At least I was man enough to admit I was crying over my mother. It had been a month since and since then Caroline had been visiting me every day to see how I was coping. Behind her brave face and fake smiles, I could see her pain, but she had to pull herself together since she had twins to look after. Howard had been there with her every step of the way, and I was very surprised when she finally admitted that they were mates and the twins were his. So I wasn't delusional when I thought that they, especially Terence, resembled him. Yeah, Howard didn't go home looking as healthy as he did when he came here. He was sporting a broken nose and a black eye when he was leaving. I knew I could potentially get kicked out of the pack, beta or not, but Howard knew he deserved a good beating from me anyways, so he didn't even attempt to fight back and only accepted the 2 punches. Unfortunately, I had only managed to land 2 punches before Caroline threatened to castrate me if I didn't stop. I assumed he was in her good books now, since she protected him, and Howard not fighting back proved that he was sorry and regretful, and that he truly did love her. I was happy for her, as long as she remained happy. I swear to God, if Howard hurt my little sister at all though, I would personally beat the living shit out of him, alpha or not. Meanwhile, I missed my mate, Issa, my beautiful mate and the love of my life. She still hadn't come to see me since Mom's funeral, which she had attended. She looked weak with her pale skin, which was missing its glow, and the dark circle beneath her eyes, which showed her lack of sleep. She looked a lot skinnier as well, which showed that she hadn't been eating properly. It had been painful without her, and I knew she was feeling the same way judging by her appearance. That wasn't unexpected though. since mates couples can't stay away for too long without feeling pain, both physical and emotional pain. It was evident that she was suffering as much as I was. At night, I would find myself tossing around in the bed, not being able to sleep. During the day, I would think about her beautiful eyes, or all the happy moment I'd ever had with her while Howard discussed issues about the rogues. Rogues. They were another problem to add to my already very long list. They had been a problem for several weeks, which was why Howard and I had to attend a very important meeting a month ago when Mum had called me, demanding that I came home immediately. It's hard to think at it. A month ago, Mum was with us, and now, she isn't. The pack don't know about the rogues since they were last sighted heading the opposite direction to us, and we didn't want the pack to be scared over futile things. However, we still couldn't take any risks when it comes to the pack. I swore an oath to keep the pack safe, even if this meant losing my life. And I wasn't to break that oath anytime soon, because then the risk of losing Issa would be too high, and I would never put her life at stake, ever. She is my world, and has been since I first laid eyes on her in a nightclub, where she looked extremely uncomfortable while I was getting drunk, because I was still blaming myself for Caroline running away. I guessed that she wasn't a party person at all, and at a later date she did reveal to me that she was forced to go to the club because it was her elder sister's birthday, who was the complete opposite to her, being a party animal and kindly putting it, a slut. But Issa did have a feisty side to her that turned me on all the time. Thankfully, Issa wasn't anything like her sister, or God knows how many boys would have been injured. But Issa would rather stay in and watch a movie, or read a book with a cup of hot chocolate. Yeah, she was addicted to hot chocolate, and I was addicted to licking off the hot chocolate moustache she got on top of her lip every time she sipped her hot chocolate. She was normally the cool and collected type with a gentle and kind heart. So honestly, I would say that I was totally stunned when she basically broke up with me until Caroline had forgiven me. Issa could be the jealous type sometimes, which I had to admit was so hot, but most of the time wore her golden heart on her sleeve. She was extremely forgiving. Yeah, she had forgiven me for my previous trysts, so honestly I didn't expect her outburst. It was definitely shocking. I had barely spoken to her. No, she had barely spoken to me, whereas I tried at every chance I got. Every time I saw her in the pack house, I would try to talk to her, yet every time she turned away, but not before I saw those unshed tears in her eyes. It was hurting her as much as it was hurting me. I laid on the bed, thinking of her beautiful silky brown hair and chocolate brown eyes, which always held that warmth and that love for me. Her slender yet curvy body which seemed to fit perfectly beside me. Her. The door slammed open and stomped in Issa. No, I was dreaming. I was sure I was dreaming. Issa hated me, and as much as it pained me to say that, I knew it was true. Chris fucking Forrest. Get your hot ass up and have a freaking shower. You're stinking up the whole room, dude, my angel's voice said. With wide eyes, I stared at the figure of my beautiful Issa. This was a dream. Now I was completely sure of it. Oh my baby, I missed you so much. I cried, walking up to her to give her a hug. No, Chris. You're not touching me until you have a shower and smell better. Quickly running into the adjoining bathroom, I took a shower, now feeling much more relaxed and refreshed. I missed having showers. Shaving off the thick beard and moustache, I realised how much better I looked already after catching one glimpse of Issa, even if it was just in my dreams. After wrapping a fluffy white towel around my waist, I rapidly left the bathroom and entered the bedroom, hoping that she hadn't had left me. I missed you so much, Bex, I whispered, grabbing her to my chest in a hug as quickly as possible. I missed you too, Chris, she whispered before she pulled away and looked me straight in the eyes. I quickly began kissing along her jaw and her neck before sucking on her mark. W, what are you doing? She groaned, letting her fingers run free in my hair. I want to savor every moment with you until I wake up him this dream, I whispered huskily against her mark, causing her to shiver in delight. But this isn't a dream, Chris. I really am here with you, she insisted. You can't not be. Issa hates me. She hates me so much, I finally said, pulling away. I finally realised what a good guy you are.